Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Denny.
Hello, Emma.
We have a bit of an audience here. It's been such a pleasure to spend so much time with you in the last 7 days. I hope you don't mind, but I'd like to begin right at the kind of point when your work started, which was 1996, the first Congo War. What started the conflict? What were some of the long-standing underlying issues that contributed?
Yeah. In 1996, it was just after the genocide in Rwanda, so millions of refugees, Hutus refugees, fled to Congo. And they created some camps just at the border of Rwanda and Congo. And this lasts for 2 years. But after 2 years, Rwanda decided to destroy all these camps. And at this moment, really, we thought that it was just to destroy the camp. But something terrible happened at this moment. So I was a medical doctor at Lemera Hospital and doing my job as a medical doctor. But on the night of the 6th of October, the hospital was attacked and more than 30 people were killed, including my patients and some of my staff. And I can say that my life really changed since this moment.
It was less than a year after the first Congo War ended that the second Congo War began, and this time you were forced to leave, and you left where you were working in Lemera, and you went back to your home city of Bukavu. And it was here where you first started Panzi Hospital. Can you tell me a bit more about this part of your story?
Yeah, in 1998, the Second War started. And this was just because when the war started in 1996, it was with the AFDL. It was a group army led by Desire Kabila, and he was backed by Rwanda with military from Rwanda. So after 2 years, he asked all these militaries to go back in Rwanda, and it was maybe they didn't really accept it because 2 weeks after, they created a new army group who is called RCD, and they attack again the Congo. So at this moment, I went to Bukavu. Bukavu is the city where I born. And I was so touched to see that Lemera was in the rural area. And there really, the maternal mortality was very high. I can say that even more than 10 women were dying for 1,000 delivery, and this is very high. So in this situation, I just decided that when I went in Bukavu, I saw that the situation was the same. I was thinking that maybe in the town, women have more obstetrical care, but I was wrong. And I just saw that it was the same situation. So I decided to create just a small hospital where I can perform cesarean and help women to fight against maternal mortality. That was my goal. But unfortunately, the first patient I treated at Panzi in Bukavu area, she didn't come for the childbirth, but she came because she was raped with extreme violence. And this was a terrible thing. It was, for me, the first time to see a woman raped, but after to be raped, to get all the genital destroyed by shooting in the genital. And really, I just get the impression that what I saw at this moment, I think that it should be a crazy man who just did it because he was maybe under drug or things like that. But I was completely wrong, because 3 months after, I treat 45 women with the same stories, and women who will really rape with extreme violence, to be shot in genital, to introduce objects in their genital, to burn the genital. And really, for me, it was, I can say that for my experience as an obstetrician, it was the first time to see all these terrible things. And after 3 months, I start to understand that there is really a new things were happening in my region. Rape with extreme violence was a new pathology.
Wow. And gosh, first I just have to say, how do you emotionally deal with it dawning on you that perhaps these injuries were not the work of one single madman, but you were seeing men, boys, grandmothers, babies, even sometimes, that were coming to you with these kinds of injuries? How did you deal emotionally with it dawning on you that this was, someone had thought about this, someone had calculated this, someone was using this as an intended tactic of war?
Yeah, at the beginning, really, I took my time to talk with victims and discuss with them. It was not only because I would like to know what happened, but most of the time, even for victims, it was very important to get someone who can listen to them, who can support them, and you can't support if you don't listen to what they're telling you. So at the beginning, really, I start to support them and to listen. At this time in the hospital, we were working with that psychologist, so I was only the one to receive them, talk with them, support them emotionally. But at the end, I just feel that myself, I was impacted by what was happening on the body of women. And it's become very hard for me to go on doing my job, because an operation that I could do maybe in 2 hours, after to listen, to be so close of victims, I start to be impacted myself. And operations that I could do in 2 hours, sometimes could even take more time, because I would like to be perfect. I would like really to answer to their expectation. And you know, when you have a girl of 12, 14 years, and who asks you, what will be my future? Can I get the possibility to be continent again when the heads are losing feces or urine? And all this kind of question to ask you if they will be able to get marriage. It was very hard for me. And when you are making operation in this condition, you are trying to get a good result, as good as you can. And it's just taking long time. And I just feel, I felt at this moment, I feel that I was really impacted by what was happening in the hospital. And not only in the hospital, even for my daughters. I have 4 daughters. And I start to feel that my relation with my daughters was really a little bit changed, because I was so afraid if something happened to them. And to start to live even the nightmare with all this situation. So at this moment, I really think that I should not go on talking with victims and know exactly what happened. I changed my way to see things. Even my emotion was there, but I just try to do only surgery so I can be more effective in doing surgery, in spite to do also the psychology.
It's amazing to me, though, that considering, I mean, I've read that at times you'll perform up to 10 surgeries in a day, that when there's so many patients that need to be seen, that you felt that the value of your time to sit and listen to someone was something really important that you could offer. That feels really impactful to me. I read that you really pioneered this new approach, this holistic approach that doesn't just treat, that kind of acknowledges that you can't just treat a survivor's physical symptoms. You have to provide for the emotional trauma, financial aid, legal help if they need it. There's so many other angles to look at. Can you talk a little bit about? I read a lot about that.
Of course, we didn't really start to do the model that we are doing now in one time. As I said, when I start to treat patients of victims of sexual violence, it was really the medical side. But slowly, I discovered that when women are raped in this situation, when rape is used as a weapon of war, is not only to destroy them physically, but is also to destroy them mentally. And most of the time, rape is happening in public, in front of the husband, the children, rape in front of their parents, and women are raped in front of their husband, and so on. So the consequence is not only physical consequence, but is also mental consequence. And after a few months, we start to understand that even if we succeed with physical healing, but the big question was the mentally, and women will not like really to leave the hospital, and they were coming with other questions. And at the end, we discovered that it was a kind of somatization of their pain, and the only one way was to support them psychologically. So we create the second pillar of our the holistic care is psychological support. And now we have psychologists, we have also social assistant and psychosocial assistant who are supporting women before the surgery and after the surgery, but also they're supporting them to do the family mediation, because this is really needed. Most of the women are rejected after to be raped. They are rejected by the family, the community. And it's very important for them to treat their emotion also is to reintegrate them in their community. The third pillar just comes because when women are rejected, they don't have families, they are alone. How you can send them back in their village if you don't give them a support so they can be autonomous in their village? So we create the third pillar with the socioeconomical support. And there, when girls are very young, we have a program to send them to school. And we have more than 5,000 girls in all levels we are supporting to go to school, because this is very important for girls when they are rejected by the family because they have a child born after rape and they don't have another possibility, is really to send them to school. But when they can't go to school, we have many programs to support them to be autonomous, and this is the way to reintegrate them in their community, because when women are strong enough economically, so they don't need really other kind of reinsertion. And I was really very happy. Maybe I can just tell you what. One time I treat women coming from somewhere where they have a lot of oil palm, and when they return back, we give them some product to make soap. And I was so impressed After 1 month, these women sent me some soap, and they said, Dr. Mukwege, we want you to wash your hands with this soap. And each time when you wash your hands with soap when you are treating patients, think about us. When we come in the hospital, our name was Rape Women. But today, you are soap makers in our village. And everyone is treating us with respect, because now if they want to buy soap, we are doing the best soap in the village. And our future completely changed with this program. And you can see that some time to reinsert people in the community is just to give women the capacity to be autonomous. The last pillar is the legal assistance. And this is very important, because when women are physically they are good, mentally they are enough strong, economically their children can go to school, they can eat without problem, and maybe they have a small shelter. The last thing is dignity. And for the dignity, most of the time women are coming back at the hospital to ask us how we can support them to go to justice. So at the hospital now we have a program with 7 lawyers who can make the files for victims and accompany them to the court. And this is really something where I think that we need to do more, because the government is not helping us enough to support women to recover and restore their dignity. And the justice can help also to do reparation, because for most of the women we are treating, they need this reparation. They need that the society, the community can accept that we didn't protect them enough. They need just to understand that the community recognize that they should be protected as human, and they didn't. So this recognition and reparation is really the steps that we are fighting for, and women deserve it, because I think that they need to be protected, and it didn't happen.
Yes. This was a question I was going to ask you later, but perhaps I'll ask it now in connection to what you just said. You recently worked on some language. You worked on a UN resolution with Nadia Murad, with whom you share the Nobel Peace Prize. And the resolution was almost scrapped entirely, but the language got watered down a lot by the USA. And I'm just curious how did you feel about that? How do you feel about our ability to continue to move forward and form broad coalitions when domestic politics often will kind of interfere with that?
Yeah, I think that this really was, I can say, a terrible moment for me and Nadia, because to be at the UN and just to see that Russia, China, and America can come together to veto a resolution fighting for the rights of women, and especially the right of reproductive care health. I think that this was really terrible, especially for me as an obstetrician and gynecologist. How can you just think that one moment that in taking care of victims of sexual violence, you have not to talk about reproductive health care? And this really was terrible things, but I think we need to be a little bit more positive about this resolution. Yeah, because we really, I think that what happened is, in this resolution, it's the first time that we talked about children born after rape. And you can't imagine how this question is very hard, not only for our community, but it's also a hard question for victims of sexual violence, because to get children without identity, to get children without any filiation in the community is very dangerous, because it's like you have children, you don't want to give them identity, so they are very dangerous for the community. But also what I saw for women when they have children born after rape, it's like every time when this child can do something bad, all the symptoms come back again. So we need really to find how we can protect these children so they can be a problem for the victims. And for the first time, we talk about children born after rape. And I can say that this is a progress. We have really to take this progress. Can you imagine that with the Yazidi women, for example, it's clear that the community said we can accept women back, but we can't accept Muslim children back. And what it means, I can't believe that a child of 2 years, he decided to be Muslims. Maybe the father was Muslim, but the child, we have to give them a chance to choose what they want to be. But if the community just stigmatize them already and just puts this stigma and say you are Muslims, we can't accept you in our community, it's terrible for the future. And in my community, we have thousands of children in this situation. They can't even take the name of the community, because the community have impression that the father of these children are enemies of the community. So we need to deal with this question and find a good solution. Children have the right to be protected, how they can, but we have to protect them. And this is the first time. The second thing, we succeed to get an approach center, survivor center approach in the way to treat the victim of sexual violence. And this also is really, I can say that a progress in what we got last time. The third is the Global Fund for Reparation.
Yes.
And the last thing is, we talk about sanctions. And I can say that the big problem with sexual violence is impunity. You can see that in many cases, we are fighting a lot against impunity. But most of the time, we don't have enough tools to fight against impunity. If it's already very difficult for women in the peacetime to get proofs when they are raped, how can you use the same law in the wartime and ask women to collect proofs to go to justice?
Yeah.
And I think that this is really some questions that where we need a kind of innovation so women can feel that they can go to justice and don't be humiliated for the second time. Because the big question is when they come and you ask a woman, she came after 6 months to be raped, and you ask her to give proof of what happened. It's just, I think that at the end, women will just stop to go to justice because they know that the first question will be, prove what happened. And they can't give this proof because when people are shooting, if someone shoots here, I think that everyone will try to protect himself. And don't try to see who is shooting, why he's shooting, and shooting with what. And all this question to ask women, all this kind of question, after all, is nonsense. So I think that now we are trying to push on this question so we can be sure that women in conflict, how we can help them to get justice. And I think that this is not nothing. It's really a progress. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm just blown away by your, well, yeah, in the face of everything that you do and you deal with, and your positivity and the fact that you continue, despite all sorts of things that we'll talk about in a minute, but just, wow. One of the things that just hearing you speak now, and when I was reading my notes, that occurred to me is rape as a weapon of war would seem to me to be a form of terrorism. Is rape as a weapon of war ever considered in those terms as a form of terrorism?
Yeah, I think that rape as a weapon of war can be used in a different way, and it's a form of terrorism, of course. I will just give you an example. In one village in Congo, this village is called Kavumu, one armed group started to rape children under 5 years. And the way that all the children were raped was to take them in their house, bring them in the bush, rape them, and bring back the children in their house. But when you rape a child of 1 year, you are adult. It means that you destroy her completely. The vagina, the rectum, and the bladder. And you just bring this child back to show the parents, to show the community what kind of injuries that you just did on the child. I think that it's a way not only to traumatize the child, but also to traumatize all the family, the parents. And I think that if you can see rape in this case, it's a terrorism. To rape a woman in front of the husband, the children, and after to rape her, to destroy her, to shoot on her in front of the family. It's a terrorism, because why you are doing this is just to create a terror so the population can be afraid, the population can respect you. You can use even the population as slaves. So I think that rape as a weapon of war can be used in different ways, but for me, it's a form of terrorism.
I was going to go on and talk about this, but again, I want to connect it to what you're saying now. You gave a speech in 2012 at the UN, and in that speech, you condemned the Congolese government for not doing enough to prevent these rapes. And less than a month later, an assassination attempt was made on your life. Your 2 daughters were kidnapped, and your bodyguard was shot, and he died. I can't imagine what it's like to speak about this at all, let alone in front of an enormous room of people. So, I would only ask if you feel comfortable to talk a little bit about that part of your story. But specifically, I would ask, how do you find the courage and the strength in the face of all of this to just keep going? It's remarkable to me that even after this attempt on your life, you decided to go back to the DRC. You decided to return to Panzi Hospital and to continue doing this work. And I'm just astounded by that. Could you talk a little bit about what gave you the strength to make decisions like this and to be able to do this awe-inspiring work?
Yeah. Really, I have to look for my answer, because maybe when we are talking about rape as a weapon of war, I want maybe to come back a little bit on rape as a weapon of war. I think that working with women for many years, and just see how women, in a strategy of war to destroy women in different ways. And when rape is used as a weapon of war, it means that they are using a kind of method where really you can see that is to destroy, not physically, but also mentally. It's also massive because one village can be, you can find an entire village, women of an entire village are raped in one night and is not taking care of age, so it's systematic. And in this case where really women they are going through torture, coming at the hospital in the conditions that I'm receiving them, most of the time, I have impression that they will never stand up again. I have impression that they are destroyed forever. And when you are treating, you have just impression that you are doing what you have to do, but what will be the impact on them? So, but let me tell you that I was so surprised to see that when women wake up, they don't wake up for themselves. Even if they come unconscious in the hospital, or even if we make an operation under anesthesia, when they wake up, the first question is, how are my children? How is my family? Where is my husband? And for me, this is really to think about others when you are suffering, and people around you have impression that there is no hope for you, but you're still thinking about others. This is really something that touched me a lot when it comes to women and their attitude. Because I'm treating also men, and I can see that when a man, after to be shot or something bad happened to him, to be operated, for example, the question is, what is my future? What will be the future of my hands? I'll be able to walk again. And I think that you can see that with these two different ways of the approach of the life, for me, is really special. And what I'm trying to do is really very, very small, if I can compare for what women are doing for all of us. We have just to think about it. And for me, I think that to go on doing what I'm doing, I have just impression that what women are doing is a lot. And if I can just bring my small contribution, it's just a small contribution. But what women are doing is really great, great. And I admire them, I support them, and I can do even more, but I know that I'm so limited to help them. But women, in each circumstance, they are thinking a lot about others and not only about themselves. And this is something which is just pushing me to move forward.
Just to take a small moment, I wanted to, just for a minute so I can catch my breath, ask you, I mean, I've spent the last 7 days with you, and you are relentless in your activism, and I mean, a whole room will just stop and listen to you speak, because you speak in a way that's so concise and honest, and also you're so egoless and results, you know exactly what it is that you want, and you have such a clear picture. But this is just a small part of what you do. When you go home, you'll be working as a doctor all day, and I'm curious, what does a typical day look like for Denis in the DRC? Will you walk me through a typical day in your life, in your home?
Yeah. Normally, the days are not the same because I have 2 days per week when I'm doing my clinics to receive patients. And I can say that this is really the very hard days, because to talk with people who come, they come with many questions, and most of the time you don't have answer. And when you don't have answer, it's very hard. And so I have 2 days where I'm doing my clinics. I have also 2 days where I'm working in the operating room to perform surgery. And I can say that for me is maybe the more easier, because there it's what we say, practical things. So you have a plan and you try just to accomplish it. It's not like to talking with someone who is rejected by all the community, who is rejected by the husband, who is thinking about the children who were killed or things like that. It's more heavier too. But I have 2 days of surgery, and all the time I have impression that in the operating room I can more relax in working. Even it's hard, but it's more relaxing for me. And I'm using also 2 days, one for my staff, to talk with my staff, to discuss with my staff, Wednesday. And Saturday is a day that I'm doing other activities, especially things who don't relate with the hospital. And every day I have time with my family. And this is really very important, because when you can spend all the day with all big questions regarding the trauma, it's really very important to get yourself people who can support you. And I can say that my family is supporting me a lot. I'm eating the morning and the evening, and on the table in the evening with my family is a time really to do my own therapy.